What's up, guys? Welcome back to the barbershop. Today I have a really interesting and special video to share with you guys regarding the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet, especially discussing Paradox Suicune and Paradox Virizion, their forms and what we can expect from them. I want to do a full breakdown for you guys, potential names and some speculation of what their typings may be. We may be getting 3 type Pokemon for the first time. So if you guys like what you see, please drop a like, consider subscribing. If we can get this video over 100 likes, it would mean a lot to me. Thank you so much. Let's get into it. So what I want to do here is I want to discuss and break down these 2 leaked Pokemon, and I want to kind of compare what we're seeing here with their art design in the Scarlet book and the Violet book compared to what we can expect with their actual in-game sprites, kind of draw a comparison with Great Tusk and Iron Treads and their in-game sprites, so we can kind of have an idea of what they're actually going to look like, their color schemes. And I really want to dive into their actual typing. I did some thinking, I did some digging. I think it's possible that we're going to be getting our first 3 type Pokemon, and I also have some new ideas that may hold true for their signature moves Sideblade and Hydro Steam. So starting things off, I want to talk about Paradox Suicune, the ancient past version of the 3 legendary beast trio. They are the roaming, wandering legendary beasts in Gen 2 and Johto. They're referred to as the roaming legendaries, the roaming beasts, right? We have Suicune, Raikou, and Entei. Now, this is certainly going to be a past ancient form, as we already know this. It's in the Scarlet book. It's an ancient Paradox form, right? And you can clearly see that they're combining all 3 of those Pokemon together in one to an ancestral Pokemon that then later diverged and became into the 3 Pokemon, the 3 legendary roaming beasts. Of course, you can see here you've got the Suicune horn diamond in front, and you have the big bushy mane here of Entei, and you see on the back of this Pokemon, you see that it's got spikes coming out, which may allude to electricity spikes like Raikou. And you see also its feet and its paws are similar to Raikou's as well. Of course, it's got the flowing tails. I guess those are tails like Suicune has. So you can clearly see how this Pokemon is combining all 3 into one. What I am speculating and what I think we may be getting is our first 3 type Pokemon. I think this Pokemon is going to be water, fire, and electric, all 3, and then it's going to diverge into the 3 Raikou, Entei, and Suicune. Because what we're seeing here, if you look closely, the front of its head does combine all 3 into one with its kind of mustache fang, its horn here, and then its top diamond. That's all faces in one. And then going into like a fire type mane, I imagine this is going to be like red or gray or white or smoky colored like fire. Then that's going to flow back into like maybe yellow electric spikes here on the back, and that's even going to flow back into kind of clouds and rain and watercolored, where those flowing tail things representative of Suicune are coming out. You can clearly see the 3 typings here. I think it's going to be like a thunderstorm type Pokemon, right? It's going to be like a big storm of fire and water and electricity, kind of all combined into one, embodying an ancient beast type Pokemon. Now, I may be going out on a limb here, but I'm going to speculate that this Pokemon's name is going to be Roaming Beast, because that is in line with all the other past form Pokemon names. Roaring Moon, Fluttermane, Screamtail, Slitherwing, right? These are ancient names. If this is going to be a Pokemon that is the ancient form of the legendary trio, it's going to need to be something that is basic, simple, ancient sounding, but also identifies directly with what this Pokemon trio is at its core. It is a wandering, roaming beast Pokemon that kind of combines a lion, a tiger, and a leopard. People call them dogs, people call them cats, but obviously they're Pokemon, they're kind of a combination of all of them. And since it's always been referred to as a beast, I think that may stick in its name. Roaming Beast, I might be right here. Let me know what you guys think about that. Now, I want to quickly touch on Paradox Virizion as well. I've been looking at this Pokemon for a while and analyzing what we already know about it and what I think we could see based on the concept drawing in the Violet book. We already know it's likely to be a grass and psychic type, but that's not confirmed. If you look at this Pokemon, the horns it has are very reminiscent of Terrakion, Cobalion, and Virizion, kind of combined into one. Of course, this is going to be a future Paradox version where these 3 Swords of Justice Pokemon have merged, combined into one. Maybe it's a man-made Pokemon like the other Iron future Pokemon. Of course, all the other future Paradox Pokemon begin with the name Iron, so it's almost a given that this Pokemon's name will begin with Iron. With that said, of course, the name of this Pokemon is going to have to be something involving the Justice, the Swords of Justice trio, right? I definitely could see this Pokemon being named Iron Sword, Iron Blade, Iron Edge. Iron Horns sounds very cool, and of course it really shows off those horns and kind of combine it's kind of what it uses as its sword. I also think another good name for this Pokemon may be Iron Justice, which of course links directly to Swords of Justice and isn't far off considering we have a Pokemon named Iron Valiant, kind of in the same vein. But what I do think is that this Pokemon, after a lot of looking at it in research, I think it may also be a 3-typing Pokemon like Paradox Suicune, and I think it may have the Grass, Psychic, and Fighting typing. If it has all 3 typings, it's going to have a healthy defense, and it's going to have a lot of offensive options as well, with 3 different stabs. Now, unlike the roaming legendary beasts, the Swords of Justice trio are dual-type Pokemon, Terrakion being Rock Fighting, Cobalion being Steel Fighting, and Virizion being Grass Fighting. This Pokemon may leave out the Fighting typing altogether. It's hard to imagine that, but if we take its 3 base typings, this could be a Grass, Rock, and Steel Pokemon as well, taking those base typings from the legendary Swords of Justice trio. You can clearly see it's got the thick, meaty, beefy Terrakion feet and legs, Terrakion horns, it's got the longer Virizion, Cobalion neck and face, and the kind of cape or collar, I guess. And if you look on the back, the kind of the spikes or the waves or blades coming off its hip area and back area may be grass. I don't think it'll be actually grass, but it may be green energy colored. Of course, this Pokemon is probably going to be metallic, have glowing energy, like all the future Paradox Pokemon. Iron Valiant, Iron Hands, Iron Bundle, right? They're glowing energy. So you can kind of imagine that this Pokemon's where it's going to be like metallic and where it's going to have the energy glowing. I think that it's very likely it's going to include Steel. It looks like a fighting type Pokemon to me as well. Fighting, Steel, maybe Rock. But if I had to place my bet right now on a 3 typing, I would go with the Grass, Psychic, and Fighting because of what the leaks and rumors in the community are suggesting so far. But nothing has been confirmed, and 99% of the time, all the leaks and rumors are wrong. As far as their signature moves, looking at Paradox Suicune, we have Hydro Steam. I'm going to suggest that it is, if we had to place my bet right now, a water type move. What I think it will be as far as its gimmick, I think there may be a very high burn chance rate, like Scald, like Steam Eruption from Volcanion. I think that there may even be like a 50% chance to burn. I think it may be a 120 base move with a 50% chance to burn and 90% accuracy. It's just a guess, but I think it's going to have a very powerful gimmick like that. As far as Sideblade, it's hard to say, but if you look at Psycho Cut and Leaf Blade, they both have high critical hit chance ratios. So I think Sideblade will be a 90 or 100 base power move with a high critical hit chance. Another possibility for Sideblade may be that it ignores its opponent's defense, like Darkest Lariat. Sideblade could also hit like Photon Geyser, like Necrozma has, hitting on the weaker side of your opponent's defenses. So if your physical defense is lower, that's the side Sideblade will hit on. If your special defense is lower, that's the side Sideblade would hit on. That's very threatening and scary, especially if this Pokemon gets access to Swords Dance, which its ability might even be that it comes out and sets up a Swords Dance immediately. Like, that's how much this Pokemon is like the ideal Swords Dance Pokemon. Another possibility for this Pokemon that may actually hold true is the idea that their signature moves, instead of having a dual attack effect typing like Flying Press hitting with fighting and flying, that instead of Hydro Steam hitting with water and fire, that it hits with either or, depending on which would be more effective. Same for Sideblade, instead of hitting with Grass and Psychic dual effective typing like Flying Press, it may hit with either Psychic or Grass, whichever would be more effective to the opposing Pokemon. Now, I don't know if that would necessarily be overpowered or broken, because Psychic and Grass are both resisted by Steel, and Water and Fire are both resisted by Grass and Dragon. So these Pokemon are going to have their checks and their switch-ins. Take a look here at Iron Treads and Great Tusk from the Scarlet book and Violet book. If you look at their sketch and their designs, they are very similar to their real overworld sprites, the real Pokemon sprites, but they're different enough that you can kind of see and make some inferences that they kind of cleaned it up a little bit. They're not identical. Looking at Iron Treads, look at these, got bigger spikes on its back. It's a little more wild looking, a little more flaily, almost hairy looking. The tusks are even bigger and bulkier. And on Iron Treads, its feet look a little bit different than we see the actual Iron Treads sprite in game. So you can kind of draw your own comparison and analysis of how close the real overworld sprites are going to look for Roaming Beast and Iron Horns. I think they'll look very similar. I think they're going to look awesome. I think they're going to have an amazing color scheme, but I think they're not going to look exactly like the artist description and depiction in the book, but I think very similar. I think we should probably be very hyped for how these Pokemon are going to look and the new gimmick and mechanic that they're going to bring into the game. I'll go out on a limb right now and I'll say that there is going to be something similar to what I'm suggesting right now, with either the names, how their signature moves will work or will function, or their typing. Pokemon has gone absolutely crazy with changing type with terrestrialization and with the power creep, the power explosion, I'm calling it now, with the new abilities and the stats of these Pokemon and the moves they're getting. So nothing is off the table now as far as creativity and pushing the boundary and pushing the limits. 3-type Pokemon is not surprising or new. Well, it is new, but considering we have terrestrialization, it's almost like a 3rd-type Pokemon. And dual-type attack, stab with Flying Press Hawlucha, that's not new. And there, of course, there's just a lot of inferences we can make when we know the current versions of the Swords of Justice trio and the Roaming Beasts and the lore behind them and how they interact in their moves and their abilities. If we kind of put it all together, we can kind of draw a pretty clear conclusion of what they're going to look like in the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So definitely let me know what you guys think about this. Let me know your thoughts on the names of these Pokemon. If you think I'm close, what you think they may be called, what you think their signature moves will do, what you think their abilities will be, what you think their typings will be. Are we looking at our first 3-type Pokemon? They're trios, they're legendary trios, all combined into one. If they were going to do it, and how crazy Game Freak is going right now, now is the time. This is it. I think I might be spot on this one. Let me know in the comments, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. God bless.